Hey guys, it's Violet with True Crime and Art. Welcome back. I missed you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the last episode. While you're here, go ahead and hit subscribe and share it, like it, whatever. I know you haven't watched it yet, but just go ahead and do that, okay? Today we're going to talk about the Bayou Strangler, and his name is Ronald Joseph Dominique. Now, Ronald, I'm trying to decide which way I want to start. We're going to go up here because I want it darker up here. Ronald is a Capricorn, like me. He was born January 9th, 1964, so he is older than me. But he was born in Thibodaux, Louisiana, which is down the bayou, and it's pretty far down there. So Thibodaux is it's like not a small town, but it is a small town, if you get what I'm saying. So everybody knows everybody, but there are a lot of people there. So Ronald was born to the youngest of two children. He had an older sister, and his parents were very, very poor. They were laborers, so they were unskilled or uneducated laborers. They lived in a trailer park right outside of city limits. So, like, not even in the city, but, outside of city limits. And he being Ronald was known as a sweet boy, and the residents of the trailer park really liked him. He was very kind and nice to them. Now in school, Ronald was of course bullied because kids are assholes. He was bullied because he preferred to do drama and choir. He loved Glee Club. He did not like to participate in sports. He was really short, he was really overweight, and so sports just really, really not his thing. And so, of course, they, being the high school kids in Thibodaux, made fun of him. Now, Thibodaux, you have to understand, is kind of like a Friday Night Lights situation. Like, if you want to be cool, you play sports, okay? And that just was not Ronald's thing. Like I said, he was into choir, into Glee Club. He likes singing and dancing. And I'm going to be stereotypical here, but there started to come out some things that maybe Ronald was gay, which this was back in the 80s, so it wasn't like it accepted like it is now. So it was a big deal. He kept denying that he was gay, kept denying it. Well, apparently one of the kids saw him, being Ronald, go into a gay bar, a local gay bar. Which my question is, if you saw him go in, what were you doing there? Maybe you were there too. Like, why are you making fun of him? Anyway, so they saw him go in there a couple times, and they just never let him live it down. Poor Ronald. Anyway, he ended up graduating from high school, regardless of all of these asshole kids. And he ended up going to Nicholls State University, which is in Thibodaux. And he was studying computer science. Unfortunately, he got really bored with it. So about a year and a half into his studies, he ended up leaving. He dropped out and he moved back home, back to the trailer park. And actually, he didn't live with his parents. He moved in with his sister, who still lived in the trailer park. And again, the neighbors in the trailer park really liked him because he would help them with the groceries. He would help them do chores around the house, maybe clean up around the trailers. And because Ronald didn't finish college, he was considered an uneducated worker, so he became a laborer just like his parents. So he was not making all that much money, and he lived with his sister, so he started to feel a little lonely, as one would. In order to help with the loneliness, Ronald started working at the local gay bar. So he's back to the gay bar. He's still saying he's not gay, which is cool. Fine, sure. But he's working as a Patti LaBelle impersonator. Now, I could not find any pictures of him as a Patti LaBelle impersonator. I did find where someone said he was really terrible at it. But I'm going to put a picture of Patti LaBelle and then a picture of Ronald. And then you can just mush the two together and just kind of figure it out for yourself, okay? About this time in 1985, like right after, he had dropped out of college. He's a Patti LaBelle impersonator. He actually gets arrested for sexual harassment via telephone, and he had to pay a $75 fine. Now, of course, I had lots of questions about this telephone harassment because, like, did you just randomly call somebody and harass them? And what kind of sexual harassment did you do on the phone? Did you pay for this? I have lots of questions. None of them were answered, so I'm sorry now you have those questions. Anyway, so he is arrested. That's the first time that he's arrested, and that is a $75 fine. And kiddos, this is back in the day when you had to like dial someone on a telephone and hold the phone like this. That's what that was, okay? Now, again, he is arrested in 1996 for forcible rape. He had talked a man into coming back to his house, which I don't know. I don't know why. It kind of alluded to the fact that he was really disarming because he seemed like not a threat. And he brought this man back to his house, and he asked the man if he could tie him up. Ronald being the person who asked that. Ronald asked this man, and the man was like, no, you can't. Ronald forcibly tied him up and became violent with him. Now, this man actually ended up escaping through the bathroom window, half dressed, and the neighbors saw it. So Ronald was arrested right away, and they are holding him in jail, waiting for his trial, and they cannot find the victim. They, being the police, cannot find the victim to testify. He has disappeared. The thought is that he just didn't want to testify in this. He didn't want to be any part of it. I don't know. Part of me thinks like we need to look into Ronald for that one, but it wasn't a thing then. They didn't seem to worry about that then. Anyway, since there was no complaining victim, Ronald's let go. He's not even charged with anything. He's let go. But his time in jail did make an impact, and he decided he never wanted to go to jail again. No matter what, he was not going to jail again. Not long after this, Ronald is doing his same old thing where he wants to have sex with a man. So he's like, how can I do this? Because I'm not gay and I'm not going to have a relationship. That's just silly. So how can I do this? Well, one day Ronald is driving down the road, and I cannot get this part right here. Sorry, guys. And he sees 19-year-old David Mitchell, who is hitchhiking home from his grandmother's house where they were having a family birthday party. So Ronald offers to give him a ride. David gets in the car, and Ronald attacks him and assaults him. He ties him up. He forcibly assaults him. I said assaults, but it was a different kind of assault this time. And then Ronald kills him by strangling him. He takes David's body and dumps it in a nearby sugarcane field and just drives away. This is the first murder that crazy Ronald actually does. And this is the start of a 9-year killing spree in which Ronald is never a suspect once in this killing spree. You know, until he is. But he's not at the beginning, which is kind of absurd to me. So they being law enforcement, starts a task force. And this task force is over 7 parishes, because here in Louisiana we don't have counties, we have parishes. So they start this task force. Did I just say force? Okay, task force. And then they involve the FBI. FBI comes down, profilers, they're saying that this is the most... Here we go with the words again. Sorry. I don't know why I think I can talk. It's a big deal. He's killed a lot of people in a short amount of time. This is a big deal. They say that his target victim is basically any homeless man between the ages of 18 and 40. And that he targets not only homeless men, but men who feel like they're on the outskirts of society. So possibly minorities, drug dealers, drug addicts, sex workers. So those sort of folks that he feels like people won't miss, which is just disgusting and bullshit, because I don't care what you're doing in your life and what circumstances are surrounding what you're doing, no one deserves what this man did to these people. And speaking of these young men, these are all of his victims. You see, they range in age from 16 to 48. They cross racial boundaries, cross socioeconomic boundaries, because not all of them were poor homeless men. Not all of them were gay. Not all of them were drug addicts. It was really crime of opportunity, which he's just so gross. He's so gross. Now let's talk about these men and how did Ronald get them? So a large portion of them he did pick up in gay bars. And again, this is like the 90s, and so there wasn't like Tinder or whatever other apps you guys use. You go to a gay bar, it was kind of secretive. You go home for the night, relationship, no relationship, but that's just kind of how you met other people who were into your lifestyle. Well, he would meet men, bring them home. They wouldn't really be afraid of him because, again, he's 5'5", he's overweight. At one point, he walks with a cane, which begs to differ. There had to be better looking guys in there. Like, why go with him? Anyway, it's not their fault. It's not their fault. They go with him. Same thing happens. He attacks them. He ties them up, sexually assaults them, and then strangles them, and then dumps their body in some remote field or something. Some of the men he lured in with the promise of drugs. Some he lured in, this part just kind of blew my mind. He would bring a picture of a really pretty woman and go to what he presumed was a straight man and say, "This is my wife or girlfriend. We like to do this thing where I bring strangers home to have sex with her. You game?" And he got a lot of straight men that way. So he had these different ways of getting men to come home with him, again, because they didn't think he was threatening. But by the time they got home, he flipped a switch and attacked them. Now, later, Ronald would go on to say that he never tied up anyone that wasn't willing. So let's just go on that for a second. That means 23 of these men consented to being tied up, even though there was no sign of like a woman that they were about to sleep with or what drugs he promised or whatever it might be. So that's a little strange to me that 23 did consent to being tied up. I don't know. You do your thing, but it didn't work out for them. Now, this part is actually, it kind of does prove that he's right, because he did let someone go that he had brought home with the promise of drugs. He let this man go. He was an ex-con. They had met at a shelter. And whenever the ex-con, he's like, "No, I don't want to be tied up." So he let him go. And the ex-con is going to his parole officer, for the check-in. And he just happens to mention in passing about this older man who looked like he was not well, had wanted to tie him up. And the parole officer's like, this sounds suspicious. This sounds like the Bayou Strangler. Who is this guy that you met? And the ex-con said, "Oh, it's Ronald Dominique. We met at the shelter." Like, that easy, folks. That easy. So, I gotta stop saying they. Sorry. Police officers went and they picked up Ronald. They questioned him and asked for a voluntary DNA sample, like a blood sample. And he was like, "Yeah, sure, great." So they took a blood sample. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to try to put a boat in here. We'll see how it goes, okay? I might just screw it up. Who knows? Who knows? It's going to be kind of big right here. Let's see. So, of course, they run the results. Well, they have to let him go while they're running the results. But, of course, when they come back, it's a match for at least 2 of the murders. So, they put out an arrest warrant for Mr. Ronald Dominique. And they find him actually in a shelter for homeless men. And he said, "I knew you were coming. I actually just moved out of my sister's house because it was only a matter of time before you guys arrested me. And I didn't want to inconvenience her." Okay. How about all the men you murdered? How'd you feel about inconveniencing them? Hmm? Hi, Ronald. Hi, Ronald. So they take him in and they start questioning him, and Ronald is very, very forthcoming with with the confession. He confesses to killing 23 men, and he said the reason why he did it was because he was not going to jail again, so he had to keep them from talking. He said it very matter-of-factly, very calm, and they're like, okay, sir, all right, psycho. What's interesting is that in the confession, he denied ever attacking anyone. Like, he confessed to murdering them, but he denied attacking them or tying them up unless they consented, which I guess that's true. But sir, at that point, it's a moot point because you are strangling these men. Who the hell cares if you're attacking them at this point? You're killing them. But he was adamant that he did not attack anyone or tie them up without their consent, and he didn't do anything that they didn't want. You know, though, I would beg to differ that they didn't want to be murdered, Mr. Sir. Just a thought. So, anyway, he confesses to all 23, and he actually forgoes a trial and takes a plea deal to guilty on all charges. All 23 charges, which is crazy to me. And he did not get the death penalty, which is also crazy to me. Well, I guess that's what the plea deal was for, because Louisiana loves to give out the death penalty. And so I'm just shocked they didn't say, you know what, screw a plea deal. We are frying your ass. They didn't, though. Anyway, he is still alive, guys. He is in Angola prison, which, if you are from Louisiana, you know Angola is nothing to play with. Nothing. So I'm sure he's not having a great time in there. They do have a rodeo. This is really random. They have a rodeo, I think, twice a year. And the inmates will go and make things and stand behind the fence, the barred fence, and you can like haggle with them to buy their wares. It's really uncomfortable and strange. And then you go inside to the actual rodeo, and the people riding the like the bucking things, broncos, are freaking inmates. That's how they earn money. And then there's this one thing where they sit inmates at a table that has a red tablecloth, and they let a bull come out and basically charge the table. The inmates have to sit there acting like they're playing cards, and the last one to get up gets $100. What do y'all think about that? Maybe I should do a true crime story about the whole rodeo, because people here love it. I am highly disturbed by it. I think it's crazy and uncomfortable. Anyway, I digress. So Ronald Dominique was a crazy MFer, and he killed 23 people. He's still one of the most, I can't say that word. He's one of the most intense serial killers ever in Louisiana. So what do you guys think about him? Do you think he was really gay? Because if you don't, then your gaydar's way off, because my man was gay. And if he would have just accepted it, I think life would have probably been better for him, right? Anywho, what do you guys think? Who do you guys want me to talk about next week? I have some suggestions. I like to get lots of suggestions and see which one takes me on this wild ride. I hope you guys like the painting today. This one's called Come Sail Away. I'm going to do my best to try to remember to put the colors in the description box. I always forget. This is a nice, calm, peaceful painting. I needed that with Mr. Ronald Dominique and his crazy ass. So I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you stay kind to one another. Bye, guys.